Do I sound like a white guy? I don't know. I don't know. In this video, I just thought I would share with you a little bit about my life's journey, share some personal things with you, and one of them being, why do I talk the way that I do? Because I get so many comments in my videos. Most overwhelming majority are complimenting the way that I talk. But there have been a handful that have been very insulting. In fact, one person said to me in my face, "I hate your voice." I'm like, dang, thanks. I didn't even know how to respond to that one. But I've also had someone tell me I sound like a gay white dude. I've been called an Uncle Tom, and you name it, I've heard it. I mean, it's been absolutely ridiculous. So I'm going to share with you 3 experiences I've had in my life that have led me to where I am today and have led me to speak the way that I do. So the first one was actually in 3rd grade, long time ago. So back in the 70s when I grew up, the teachers could beat you. And sometimes they beat you in front of the class, sometimes they go to the principal's office, but you could get a whooping in class. And your teacher would actually dare you to tell your parents because they knew that if you told your parents, you were going to get another whooping when you got home. Now also, back in those days in the playgrounds, there was this fenced in area. And in this fenced in area, that's where the special needs kids were. And it was probably to protect them from bullies, because we also had those bullies in my class. In fact, we had this one kid, is a black kid. He was bald and he was a little chunky and he wore this red tank top and he terrorized people in the playground. It was awful, absolutely awful. So in this environment that I grew up in, one day I'm in class and the teacher comes to the front of the class and says, "We have a special visitor today, and it is a speech therapist. She's going to call out a few names. She said, gather up your things because you are going to speech therapy." I was mortified. So I'm like, oh my God, this is awful. So to my 3rd grade mind, what I just heard was, I'm going to start riding the little short bus to school, and I'm going to be sitting behind the fence in the playground with all the other special needs kids. And I was just terrified. I'm like, God, please don't call my name. Just don't call my name. Michael Taylor, first name they called. And I'm mortified. I'm like, but, oh, my life is over. So I gather up my things the way I was told. Me and a few other kids who got called out, I don't remember their names. We go up, follow this teacher, and that's all I remember about this speech therapy class. I don't remember anything else other than being humiliated in front of the other students. It was awful. And I went a good part of the rest of my life, or childhood anyway, thinking that I had a speech impediment. And maybe I do, I don't know. The next thing that happened to me was in the military. Now, a lot of you know that I was in the Navy. I was officer in the Navy. I was stationed on the USS John A. Moore, FFG 19. And one of my assignments as a junior officer on the ship was to serve watch on the bridge. The bridge is where the ship is steered from, basically. And on the bridge, you have the officer of the deck who is in charge. You have a junior officer who serves as the conning officer. That was me. And you have all the enlisted personnel that are there who are actually doing the work of steering the ship and determining the direction, speed, and everything else, or setting the speed. So my job was to take the orders from the officer of the deck and then relay them to the men who were doing the physical work. So one of the guys goes to the officer of the deck, says, "Sir, I have no idea what Ensign Taylor is saying. I can't hear him. It's just not clear, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do." So the officer of the deck takes me outside, and he sort of kind of chewed me out, but it wasn't real bad. But he's basically telling me that he knows that I know what I'm doing because he told me and we covered it. What he explained to me is that my guys don't know what they're supposed to do, and that is 100% my fault. He said, if they don't understand, it's your fault, Taylor, and you need to do a couple of things. Number one, you need to speak loud and clear so that everybody on the bridge can hear you. You need to make sure that you're speaking with a command voice because they need to believe you. They need to know without any question that you are in control and that the orders that you're giving them are the right orders. Because if they don't believe you, they might replace your orders with their own and do the wrong thing. Because when we're out at sea, those ships could be operating in fairly close quarters, and we don't have time for mistakes. Bad things can happen. So speak loud, speak clear, and use a command voice are the three things that he told me, and that it was going to start today, right there, right now. Now, the way the bridge is set up, the bridge is kind of wide. There's a hatch or a door on either end of the bridge. It's not very deep, but it's really wide, and most of the guys are operating in the middle. So the officer of the deck instructed me, I'm going to stand in front of one hatch. He's going to be all the way on the other end of the bridge, standing on the other hatch. And every order that I give, he needs to be able to understand everything that I said without any issue. So he walked away, says, go for it. So I issued my command, and I look over at him, and he gave me the thumbs up. That dude made a huge impact on my life, because those things that I learned that day on the bridge of that ship, I've used throughout my whole career. Every time I do public speaking, I'm looking around to make sure that everybody can hear me. And the people that I'm focusing on are the people in the back of the room. And so that's how I learned to speak better. That's how I learned how to speak better in public, all because of that one little thing that happened that day on the ship. Now, the third life event actually happened several years later. I was probably 26 or 27, something like that. And there was a seminar that was going to be held at a college in Southern California. And I decided to go. I thought it was an interesting topic. Actually, I didn't believe it. But the topic was Ebonics. Isn't that where they teach you how to talk black? Well, I'm already a black man. I don't need anybody to teach me how to be a black man. That's ridiculous. So I go to the seminar anyway because I just want to hear what this dude has to say. And so the person leading the seminar was a linguistics professor who spoke 9 languages. And the first thing he said opening up his seminar is, I am not here to teach you how to speak black English. That's ridiculous. What he explained to us is that what he studied was to try to understand why black people speak the way, or why black Americans speak the way that they do. And if you take a few things away from this seminar, you can become a better English speaker. Yeah, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna give this dude a chance. So I'm listening to him, and he gave me a couple of key things to think about. One of them, he talked about word structure and how people who learn to speak English as a second language translate English, or they speak English through their native tongue. And if the word structure that they're accustomed to is different than the word structure in English, the words are gonna sound funny. Or if a particular sound in English does not exist in their native language, then you're basically going to try to emulate that sound as best you can by a sound that you're comfortable with. So that's why when you're listening to someone who speaks, an Asian person who speaks English as a second language, it might sound funny to you. Or it might sound funny to you if somebody who speaks Russian is speaking English. Or somebody who's French or Spanish or whatever it is, they're speaking English through their native tongue, and you can instantly recognize where they're from, and black people are no different. So he pointed out a couple of key things about the way black Americans speak that likely translates back to our original languages in Africa. And one thing he pointed out is in the African language that he used for comparison, which was Swahili, is that the word structure set up is consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel. And the words always end in a vowel sound. And when you listen to black Americans speak, oftentimes if a word ends in a consonant, that last consonant gets dropped. And that was mind-blowing for me, because I'm sitting there thinking about words that I speak, or the way my parents speak, or my aunts and uncles, listening to the way that they speak. I'm like, you know what? He's right. I never thought about it. But yeah, we're dropping that consonant at the end. And he also explained that because that word structure in many African languages, consonant, vowel, it's not consonant, vowel, consonant, consonant. And there are words in English where you have 2 consonant sounds at the end of the word. And black Americans tend to drop one of those consonants. And I was blown away because I just started thinking about that. And I left there that day with those 2 things stuck in my mind. And my goal from that point forward is I'm going to work on that. And so I took those things home with me, and I would listen to whatever, might be Tom Brokaw on the evening news, and I'm listening to how he speaks and listening to how he's pronouncing words. And I started trying to copy him and other people. Anybody that I listened to that I thought spoke good English, I'm listening to how they pronounce words, and I worked very hard on that. And in fact, that was almost 30 years ago. So I've been doing this for the last 30 years. And so what you're hearing today is a combination of all of those things that I just talked about, things that I have been consciously working on. That's why I speak the way that I do. Am I trying to speak like a white man? No, I only know English. My goal is to be the best English speaker that I can. And it takes work. You know, oftentimes I have to really focus and think about how I'm pronouncing my words just to make sure that I'm not dropping anything. I'm not dropping that extra consonant at the end, or that I'm not missing one of the consonants that are at the end of a word, W-O-R-D, 2 consonants back to back. You have to pronounce the whole thing. So that's something that's taken a lot of work. And as a result of all of the hard work that I've done, I get criticized. It's, you know, so the thing that I've learned, I guess, is that, you know, if people see you doing something that they either don't understand or something maybe they can't do themselves, they're going to criticize you for it, try to, you know, talk down on you. And fortunately, I'm of an age where I really don't care what anybody thinks about that anymore. I think it used to bother me a lot when I was younger. So someone telling me I sound like an Uncle Tom, or, you know, my wife must be white because of the way that I speak. Or I actually had one of my white friends, a good friend, they joking around, of course, and he says to me that he sounds more black than I do. He told me I'm the whitest sounding white boy he's ever heard in his life. But, you know, and we laughed about it. I don't think he meant any harm, but the bottom line is that, you know, it was just a goal that I had. That's why I do this. That's why I speak the way that I do. And so now I feel like it's just who I am, you know, and I'm not apologizing to anybody for it, to be honest with you. But the process that I use to be able to speak the way that I do is the exact same process that I used when I started riding motorcycles 5 years ago. I didn't know how to ride a motorcycle at all. I took lessons, I practiced, I took more lessons, and I watched people who I believed could ride better than I do, and I started emulating the things that they did. And as a result, I've become a better rider. I did the same thing when I learned how to play piano, when I learned how to shoot pool, when I learned how to turn a wrench, and just pretty much anything that I did. You watch people and you work with people and you surround yourself with people who are doing the things that you want to do better. So hopefully this video helped you out a little bit, or if you're just curious why I speak the way that I do, now you know. So I guess that's all I have. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think. This is Q. I'm riding, I'm wrenching, and I'm speaking good English, and I'm out.
Did you hear what he said? This has to be the corniest little white dude I've ever seen in my life.
He looks like a broke-ass sexual chocolate.
What?
What country you from?
What?
What ain't no country I ever heard of? They speak English in what?
This is ridiculous.
Now, don't you go through life worrying about whether somebody like you or not. You best be making sure they're doing right by you. You understand what I'm saying?
I'm an officer in the United States Navy.
Is this guy ever going to shut up?
What? English, motherfucker! Do you speak it?
Yes.
All right, now you sons of bitches, you know how I feel.